the 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly, Tailgates, and the STT Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Chet, it's Philly's opening day eve. Time to get it going, and for us to make our predictions tonight, that's always fun. Paul George is back. Joel Embiid is not.
He is. He's back.
Well, we'll see. It's not game time yet. We'll see. The Flyers swept the California trip before losing last night in a very tough game to Columbus. Still no room for them to lose. Things are quiet on the Eagles front. March Madness is down to the Sweet 16. And we're going to talk about the very difficult Philly Sports Hall of Fame ballot. My picks are in. I hope yours are. As always, plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Man, such a terrific time on the sports scene with March Madness underway. Lots of great games this past weekend. The NBA and NHL seasons, meanwhile, winding down, going into the home stretch. Sixers, Flyers, both, kind of in the hunt still. Phillies baseball, though, that's the big one right now. The season getting underway Thursday afternoon. It is going to be a fun few months ahead. And yes, we will make our official Phillies wins predictions later in the show. So everybody stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. I'm sure everybody's on the edge of their seat for that,
absolutely.
Right? There you go. Hey, we have great guests returning tonight in the radio voice of the Phillies, Scott Franzke, making his annual visit. And the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame's media director, Jeff Kirsch, makes his first visit to Philly Pressbox Radio to talk about that ballot I mentioned.
Yeah, I met Jeff at the Philly Sports Hall of Fame's induction ceremony event last November. We stayed in touch, and with the 2026 list of nominees having come out last week, I thought it would be, perfect timing to have him on the show to talk about those nominations and the Philly Hall in general. So that will be cool. And Scott Franzke is always fantastic. So we will have Scott for you in about 8 to 10 minutes from now. But it is March, so we're going to talk a little hoops first, Bill.
Yeah, we are. We're going to talk about Sixers, if you can imagine that, Chet. They managed to climb back into seventh place, as we were talking about last week. They looked like they were almost dead, but here they are. And then they're still a game and a half from fifth place, winning 4 of their last 6. Paul George suspension is over. Joel Embiid, as you mentioned, announced today that he could be playing tonight, but they haven't tipped it off yet. He might still be hurt or get hurt in warm-ups.
No, Embiid is back. Paul George also, both back in the lineup. Kelly Oubre Jr., not quite yet, but hopefully he'll be back this weekend. Tyrese Maxey, fresh from his appearance on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon last night. He's not quite ready. The pinky's still a little sore, but hopefully he'll be back before the final game of the season and be ready to go 100% for the playoffs. But as for those standings you mentioned, yeah, Sixers right there in the 7th spot for now, but just a game and a half out of 5th and 6th. They still got a shot, to move on up. The one thing, though, is those Atlanta Hawks, who are in the 6th spot right now, they have been on fire lately. They've won 9 of their last 10. They are just blowing people. One way to go, but even if the Sixers do get into the 5th or 6th spot, it doesn't mean they're going to win a playoff round because they're going to struggle with whoever they play, whether it be the Knicks, the Celtics, or the Cavaliers. They don't seem to match up well with either of those 3 teams. So I don't know, but it's going to be fun just to get a little postseason basketball back in Philly after, missing out last year. Last year was dreadful.
Well, as you put the numbers up there, just 10 games left. So after tonight being just 9, we're down to the single digits. Maybe that's the time where Embiid figures he needs to play a little bit. And Chet, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. Embiid hasn't played in, what is it now, 7 games, 8 games?
I think
something
13.
Like
I think 13, actually.
13, okay. I lost interest though the last five, I
know.
guess. I'm going to say he puts in 30 tonight.
Oh, yeah, he'll play 25 to 27 minutes, score 25 to 30 points. That's his MO. That's what he does.
Yeah. You don't play for 13 games and then come off the bench, off your deathbed because your side hurts too bad and then still score 30. Hey, speaking of Paul George, what did you make of his presser and his reasoning justification for the PEDs was mental health? How do you feel about that? Should he just have kind of owned it, or do you bring that out? What do you think?
Well, I mean, he did allude to that when it happened, the suspension announced, a month or so, or 2 months at this point, whatever it was, 25 games. So he did allude to the whole mental health thing. He's not saying exactly what he took that got him suspended. Didn't really want to talk about that. It's kind of a touchy subject if it is, any kind of a mental health thing, but is he telling the truth? I don't know. I really don't know. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm not going to criticize the guy. He has talked in the past about, having some emotional issues, mental health issues. So I wish him the best for that. And, I hope he is now right in the head and can contribute on the court to help the Sixers, down the stretch here.
Yeah. Well, as you say, mental health, it's no joke, right. Obviously it's a serious thing. I just, my mind is telling me you have mental health issues. You're going to take performance enhancing drugs.
Well, yeah, he said it was connected to a mental health issue that developed because of an off-season knee injury. So that limited his production this season. And I guess in some way to deal with that, he took whatever he took. I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore, but I wish him the best.
So we're going to give him a pass. Yeah. We're going to give him a pass. He's got 10 games. Let's ball up.
Yeah, please do. And don't take any more games off.
That's right. We got 10 games.
Speaking of balling up, how about VJ Edgecombe, the rookie? He has really stepped up with, Embiid, George, and Maxey out. He had a career high, 35, 38 points the other day. Yeah. He's just been playing great. Plays with so much poise, so much confidence. So he's been fun to watch. That's one of the blessings out of this. And some of the other guys getting more playing time as well, including some guys that, aren't going to fit into the picture now that Embiid and George are back. But still, they went 13-12 in the 25 games that they were without Paul George. They were, I think, 5-5 over the last 10 games. So they're hanging in there. We showed the standings. And now it's, crunch time, and they got to start winning some games. And they have an opportunity because they have some easier teams on the schedule, too. So let's go Sixers.
Yep, let's go. We need to make a push. 10 to go. Make it happen. Yep. Hey, speaking of hoops, Chet, NCAA tournament is down to the Sweet 16. A bunch of upsets. Number one, Florida went out last week. Whole bunch of really good games. Have you been watching?
I've been trying to. Now, I wasn't glued to the TV set last Thursday through Sunday like some people were. I know Bob Cooney said, he didn't leave the couch all Saturday and Sunday. He said I did catch a bunch of the action last weekend. As always, lots of great games and some memorable finishes as well. A couple of big upsets, including one of the top seeds and the defending champion of Florida getting knocked off by a 9th seed Iowa. I lost some money on that one, unfortunately. Lots of intriguing Sweet 16 matchups now going forward. So, yeah, I'm going to try to watch as much as I can Thursday through this Sunday.
Yeah, well, my pool bracket, I only did one. We did a little family, me and my 3 boys. Did a little family thing. 3 of us picked Duke of the 4. Uh-huh. Duke St. John's is going to be a game, and St. John's could very well win that game. Now that they've made it this far, they're a good club, and there's a good chance that they could win that. Arizona's still in there. Houston's still in there. Michigan is still in there. There's some really good teams coming down to the end.
And the team that knocked off Florida, Iowa's still in there, as well as Iowa State. And the other 3 top seeds, other than Florida, are all still there. Duke among them, as you mentioned. And I got to tell you, the Blue Devils didn't look all that impressive in winning either of their first 2 games. So I have a hunch St. John's is going to give them a real good battle. There's the Sweet 16 right now as it stands. I guess the Cinderella teams would be the aforementioned 9th-seeded Iowa Hawkeyes, who take on number 4 Nebraska on Thursday. And the only remaining double-digit seed, the 11th-seeded Texas, which plays a good number 2 seed in Purdue on Thursday. And, Bill, you may recall that when we talked about this last week, I did pick number 2 seed Houston to win it all, and the Cougars are still alive. They play 3rd seed Illinois on Thursday, which should be a good one.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of good games, as you pointed out there. Most of the higher seeds are the ones still standing. They've sorted themselves out. What you got, as you mentioned, Texas, Tennessee at 6, Iowa at 9. The rest are low seeds, and just as you would expect. Great matchups. Looks like great matchups.
Yeah, so I'm excited to watch some of that. And as I mentioned, I'm excited about, what the Sixers may be doing down the stretch. And speaking of which, Tom McGinnis wanted to check in.
Get excited.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to say one more basketball thing before we move on. I got to give a shout out to my boy, Chris Capco, who I posted this on Facebook. Chris Capco, I've known for his whole entire life, known his parents forever. He was named the head ball coach at Ball State this week, and he's been an assistant beating the bushes for 20-some years, USC, SMU, all over the place, and now he got his first head coaching job, and we are now Ball State Cardinal fans here in this house.
There you go. Best of luck.
There you go. Hey, Chet, Philly Pressbox Radio is part of the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal Phil Stiefel, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Check out Phil. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and so is ours. Yep, you can find Philly Pressbox Radio there in addition to our own YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Again, it's the STT Sports Network setting the trends for what sports talk should be.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, opening day means spring is here and summer isn't far behind. What kind of activities are going on at the Irish Rover Station House?
Oh, man, Bill, always plenty happening at the Irish Rover in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. But the true highlights are always the fantastic food and beverage items, special cocktails, and, always 24 beers on tap. Daily happy hour specials for apps and drinks. Dinner specials Thursday through Sunday. They have those killer burger Thursdays. There's trivia every Wednesday evening and live music most weekends. This Saturday, Fahrenheit Andrew heats up the Rover. And, well, speaking of getting it hot, how about this? Thursday, while you're watching the Phillies season opener at the Rover, you can sample Fireball whiskey during the 5 to 7 p.m. happy hours. And enjoy beer specials and $2 hot dogs all throughout the game. I love me some Fireball, by the way. The Irish Rover is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne, and you can find them on the web at IrishRoverStationHouse.com. And with that in mind, well, here's Merrill.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Pressbox Radio. It's good!
Yeah.
Hey, Chet, you had a chance to visit with Scott Franzke, make his annual visit to Philly Pressbox Radio. But I want to throw this up there before we introduce Scott. Our friend Phil Stiefel is calling for an over-under June 1st for Rob Thompson's firing. So let's talk about your conversation and visit with Scott, and then we'll come back to if there's any Rob Thompson discussion to be had after that.
All right. And, we haven't even gotten to any of our comments yet. We got a whole bunch of comments. So, there's Denny, the biggest Duke hater in the entire world. Yeah. Robbie saying good matchup.
You know why that is? That's because Maryland hasn't beaten Duke in about 100 years.
That's what it is. Exactly. Fireball. Robbie's a Fireball fan. There you go. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we're looking good, Bill. We're looking good. That's what Jane tells us anyway.
There you go. Thanks, Jane.
Good evening from Robert. Hi, guys. Looking good. Lulu's been watching lately, which is nice.
Yep.
Denny, when he's not criticizing Duke, does give us a shout out and helps promote our show, which is nice. So that's always good. PJ, let's see who he's up to. There you go. All right.
And here's
Noel is back tonight, man. It's gonna be.
And here's another one from Lou. My dad loves your show. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lulu, and your father.
Thank you indeed. All right. As for Scott Franzke, had a great mid-morning chat with Scott today. In fact, I dressed appropriately. I have the Parlez-Vous Franzke shirt on. He enjoyed that. Here we go. Here's the interview with Scott. Well, spring training and the WBC are in the rearview mirror. Another Phillies regular season is upon us. It begins Thursday afternoon at home this year, and we're going to preview the 2026 Phillies season with the terrific radio voice of the Phils, Scott Franzke. Scott, great to see you again.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start with some of the newcomers. You got to see this guy play a bit down in Florida over the past month. The rookie center fielder, Justin Crawford. What are your impressions of him?
Polished kid, seems to be pretty mature for his age. I think he's excited about the opportunity. He's got a lot of ability, a lot of talent. He'll have his moments. He'll have his struggles as well with any rookie in Major League Baseball. But he obviously proved that he could handle the AAA level, and now the next test, of course, is in the big leagues. So, he held his own in spring training. He certainly wasn't, over the top, if you will, but he didn't fall on his face either. So, he gets the job, and we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Now, Crawford's going to be in center field most days, and there's a new guy in right also, Adolis Garcia. He's never hit above 250 in his career, but he did have 25-plus homers from 2021 through 24 before tailing off a bit last year. How do you think he'll do in this Phillies lineup?
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see because I know they've worked with him a lot on some different things. They've made some tweaks with his stance, his setup. They want to get him in the strike zone, if you will. He's a guy who will chase a lot. So they want to try to figure that out, get him back in the strike zone in terms of pitch selection. He's a tremendous outfielder. He's going to be a big upgrade defensively for the club. So that's in your back pocket. But whether he hits or not remains to be seen, obviously. Got a lot of pop. He's not going to be the focal point of the offense, and I think that might help him take some of the pressure off him, and we'll see. I think they hope that taking some of the pressure off will make a big difference for Adolis, and he's a great teammate. Already got a built-in friend. One of his longtime friends in baseball is Edmundo Sosa, and so he's fitting right in the clubhouse. That's not a problem at all.
Mm-hmm. All right, now with Ranger Suarez gone and Zach Wheeler not quite ready to go just yet, we're finally going to see Andrew Painter on a big league mound. He had a couple of great starts down in Florida, and man, he looks really confident and composed out there, does he not?
Yeah, and this is another guy like Crawford. Crawford grew up in a big league clubhouse with his dad, of course, but has been around big league players throughout his life as a high schooler and working his way up and being a draft prospect. Andrew's the same way. He's been working out with guys in South Florida at that Cressy Pitching Institute, and he's been doing that since he was a teenager. So he's been around Max Scherzer. He's been around Jesus Luzardo. He's seen what it takes for those guys, the kind of work they put into the offseason. Again, very polished young man, very bright, handles himself well with the media, all those things. I do not think anything on the mound is going to phase him necessarily. And again, he looked pretty good in spring training. I know they had to work with his arm slot a little bit. He felt like he lost some of that last year, but it looks pretty good so far this season.
Yeah. Like last year, the rotation should be a real strength. Two different publications I saw had them in the top 5 or 6 in Major League Baseball, even with a rookie Painter in there and Wheeler likely to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. How good are the two lefties now, both of whom just got contract extensions, Jesus Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez?
I can't think of another club with two lefties other than the Tigers that could compare. Skubal and Valdez, a pretty good 1-2 punch in terms of lefties. I guess you could say the Red Sox with Crochet and Ranger, a couple of lefties there. But, Sanchez and Luzardo are remarkable. Just electric stuff. Sanchez he continues to amaze me how good he's become. He knows what he's doing on the mound. He's got 3 pitches, but they're either plus or plus pitches when you look at the stuff. Luzardo, he might still have more room to grow, in fact. And I think it's great for not only for him, but also for the organization, knowing he knows now where he's going to be. He's not pitching necessarily for a contract, and there can be a lot of pressure that goes along with that. So I think those two guys, again, as good a combo of lefties as you're going to find in Major League Baseball.
I read Todd Zalecki's Phillies Beat newsletter this morning, and he made a couple of bold predictions. Bryce Harper will have one of his best years of his career, and Bryson Stott will make his first All-Star team and finish in the top 5 for NL batting title. Wouldn't that be nice?
Would be. It would kind of, I think, deliver on the promise of what he looked like as a first rounder.
Yeah.
He made substantive changes to his swing late last season, and they seemed to work. Carried over into the spring. It seems to still be working. So in that respect, it wouldn't shock me. I think it's what they always kind of envisioned for a guy like him, that he has that kind of potential. And I think it would be great to see. As for Harp, I think a lot of people are betting on the fact that, maybe he's going to take those not elite comments and really run with them and use it perhaps as some personal motivation. And, he's got goals and things in his mind that he wants to do better and change over last year. So we'll see.
Alec Boehm survived being on the trading block each of the last couple of winters. He remains the Phillies' third baseman. Is this the year that maybe we finally see more power from him, 20-plus home runs?
Well, he's gotten to that point before, and I think he's certainly got it in the tank. He got off to such a tough start last year. I just love the way he's handled everything. I mean, he's just going about his work. And, Alec has been fairly consistent offensively when you look at the full body of numbers over the course of his career with the Phillies. Obviously, he's had his ups and downs defensively. Last year did not drive in as many runs as they were hoping for. And again, got off to that tough start, did not hit as many home runs as they thought. But 2 years ago, or was it 3, he got to 97 runs batted in, I think. Yep. And he can be that kind of a guy where he's going to hit in this lineup. And, I just love the way he's gone about it. Didn't let the Bo Bichette stuff bother him. Didn't let the trade rumors the year before really get to him. I think he's poised for a good year.
Let's talk about the bullpen. Johan Duran will be there right from the start of the season this year, which is nice. They added Brad Keller. He's going to get a lot of work as a setup guy after a solid year with the Cubs. Ryan Kirkering, Jose Alvarado, Tanner Banks, all back as well. This should be a pretty good pen, right?
I would think so. 7, 8, 9, Alvarado, Keller, and Duran. When you look at the full season, I mean, assuming they stay healthy,
sure,
that's a 3-headed monster there at the end of games that you didn't have, except for, in Duran's case, it was a couple of months. Alvarado's case, it was, maybe 8 weeks, the first, 6 to 8 weeks of the season before he was suspended. It was never, obviously, when he came back, was not the same guy. But I think if you think about it, it's not just the one upgrade with Keller in the bullpen. In a way, it's 3, adding Duran and Alvarado for a full season, which you didn't have last year. So I think it could be it's going to be a real luxury for the manager, I know, to plan out the end of games.
With the exception of Ranger Suarez, Matt Strom, and Nick Castellanos, most of the core guys are back this year. Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto getting nice new contracts to stick around. But everybody is another year older also. Could this be the last hurrah for this core lineup?
Well, this core lineup is still under contract. So this core lineup is still going to be there for a few more years. Obviously, we don't know what 27 looks like with all the labor issues and all that on the horizon. But, everybody gets older a little bit more every year. But I will say this, guys are able to sustain their careers longer now than they ever have been because of training methods and conditioning and nutrition and all the things we know about now that we didn't know 20 years ago, certainly didn't know 40 years ago. And I think all these guys apply it. They work full time on it, if you will. By that, I mean not only during the season, but off season. So who's to say that it's a last hurrah? I mean, name wise, they're all going to be there, but performance wise, that's another question.
How is the new ABS ball strike challenge system going to work this year? Is that a good thing for the game? How does Larry feel about it?
Yeah, I think he feels good that there is a way to get an egregiously wrong call right. Obviously, I think it's going to be fascinating to watch how the usage strategy unfolds, when to use it, who uses it more often early in games. Who saves one in their back pocket for late in a game. those kinds of things. Do the hitters challenge more often than the catchers or pitchers? I think it'll be fascinating to watch. But I do think it's nice that baseball is fun. And it won't be perfect. But I do think it's nice that baseball has a spot where, look, if there's a really bad call near the end of a game or in a big spot in the 7th or 8th inning, there is some recourse for a player to do something about it.
The NL East should be really interesting this year. Over-unders for Braves, Phillies, Mets, all right around 88, 89, 90, 91. Atlanta, of course, hit with injuries yet again this spring. Seems to happen all the time. The Mets got a new top-of-the-rotation guy. They still have Juan Soto, of course. The Phillies, we talked about them. Could this be a 3-team race?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, health is everything. These teams are all built to win 90-plus games, but health will be a big determining factor as to whether or not they do win 90-plus games. But I would expect all 3 teams to be, given that they're healthy, I would expect all 3 teams to be very much a part of the conversation.
Hey, it is going to be fun. And Scott, as you can see, I'm wearing a Parlez-vous Franzke t-shirt.
All right.
I need to know, how many of these do you have in your closet at home?
I might have one. I'll tell you, my kids have a few. Mark Adams, a great guy at Hog Island Press who makes those shirts. He's been kind enough to get us some youth sizes of those same shirts. So my kids wear them. None of their classmates have any idea what it means. They're like, what is that? I don't get it. But yeah, it's cute. It's fun. And again, the kids have more of those than I do.
Awesome. All right, Scott, thanks for keeping this annual tradition alive. Let's hope for a great Phillies season. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
He's always so good.
He really is.
Yeah. Right. Hey, I'm going on the record now. We'll get to our predictions a little later in the show, but yeah. I'm going on the record right now to say I agree with Todd Zalecki. I think Bryce Harper is going to be big this year.
And Bryson Stott.
Yeah, well, I've always liked Stott, but he's underachieved. He just hasn't gotten it done.
Yeah, I'd love to see Harper stay healthy. And, Stott did finish strong last year, so I'm looking for big years from both of those guys. I don't know if Stott's going to be in the top 5 in batting, but, hey, if he can hit, 280 and, be consistent, we'd love to see that.
And you know what's funny? Any conversation you have about the Phillies this year, early on, obviously, is nobody mentions Trey Turner. He won a batting title.
I know. We didn't even get to him.
Right. He won a batting title, and he's the only guy to hit 300. Okay, I get that. But he won a batting title, and his defense improved drastically along the way. But he's an afterthought. He's buried down in the lineup somewhere. And, hey, I'll take batting champions. I don't care if he hit 301. But don't matter to me. He hit more than everybody else.
Yes, he did. So all of a sudden, I'm excited about this Phillies season, Bill. And it all begins this many days from today. Today's Wednesday, so tomorrow is opening day. There it is, one day from today. Richie Ashburn, man, what a guy. The career he had, a Phillies whiz kid hero, Hall of Famer, and a terrific color analyst for many, many years then with Harry Callis. Speaking of which, Bill, how about the decision by the Phillies to bid farewell to Harry the K's restaurant at the ballpark, replacing it with the Ghost Energy deck? Fans are not happy about that, Bill.
No, and I just don't get it. It won't be Ashburn Alley next year, probably. That'll be the next thing to go. I guess the clock came up today. We're getting rid of the clock.
The clock is gone.
Yeah. So who knows? Everything's got a price tag on it, right? And
it's all about the money. It's a business, Bill. It is a business.
Yeah, and we don't care if you liked Harry the K or not, because after anybody getting born now, we'll never know he ever existed because there'll be no memory of him.
Hey, one thing, going back to basketball and the Sixers, first quarter, 4 minutes left in the first quarter, the Sixers lead the Bulls 23-19. Joel Embiid, 15 points in 8 minutes.
But he couldn't walk for the last 13 games.
I don't get it.
Chet, hey, we mentioned last week that we're honored to be voting members of the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. I already mentioned to you on the side that this ballot was really strong and really tough to narrow down.
Yeah, that it was. So many great candidates on there. And boy, we had our work cut out for us. But we figured it out. We got our ballots in. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we have a great guest in Jeff Kirsch, the media director for the Hall of Fame. He's going to tell us all about the ballot and the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. So, Jeff, welcome to Philly Press Box Radio. It's your first time. I don't know what took us so long.
It is. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, guys. It's an honor.
Well, Jeff, before we talk about the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame and this year's nominees, let's talk a little bit about you, Jeff.
Right.
Where'd you grow up, and what is your Philly sports fandom story? Any particular great memories?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Northeast Philly, Somerton section to be specific, right on the verge of where the city hits the suburbs, both Montgomery and Bucks County. Got hooked on sports at a very early age, primarily due to my father and my maternal grandfather. So he was an original Flyers season ticket holder. I was the oldest of his 7 grandchildren, and he started taking me to hockey games at a very early age. So got hooked on sports at an early age, and hockey very specifically. Some of my earliest memories are going to Flyers games in the mid-'80s. I was at one of the finals games in 1987 against that incredible Oilers team that I think ended up with, 9 or 10 Hall of Famers, including Gretzky, Messier, you name it. In fact, I was at the infamous game when Ron Hextall may have slashed someone on the Oilers. I happened to be right behind there. I think it was Game 4. That was his rookie year, which he subsequently was suspended for 8 games at the start of the next year. So,
yeah.
Well, Jeff, you're a lifelong Flyers fan, which means you have not had an opportunity to see a Stanley Cup. You have seen an NBA championship, a World Series championship, and a Super Bowl championship. No hoisting of the cup.
No hoisting of the cup. And in fact, my grandfather, so I was born, let me think about this. I was born 3 days before they won that cup in 1974. And I came home from the hospital the day of the parade. So my grandfather liked to joke that when I was born, the whole city of Philadelphia celebrated. So, of course, they won that cup that first year, and then they won the next year. We've been back to the finals 6 times since. And the really sad thing is, if you go back and look at the chronology, every team they've lost to has been a dynasty. They lost to the Canadiens in 76. They lost to the Islanders in 80, the Oilers in 85 and 87, then the Red Wings in 97. And the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks. That was the first of 3. So I can remember this stuff like it was yesterday, and I couldn't tell you what I had for lunch today, but that's just the way my brain works with the Flyers.
Well, Jeff, you're clearly a Philly sports fan through and through. How do you end up working for the Philly Sports Hall?
Yeah, so again, it goes back to my dad. So I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that he became a volunteer for the Hall of Fame. And if I remember the story correctly, he was semi-retired at the time. And my mother saw an ad, I think, in the Northeast Times that the Philly Sports Hall of Fame was looking for volunteers. She ran it by him. He submitted it. And next thing you know, he got involved. And then subsequent to that, he asked me if I was interested in getting involved. And I thought it would be fun, especially because I haven't lived in the Philly area for about 17 years. My job took me up to the New York and actually Connecticut area in 2007. So not only am I still very much a hardcore Philly sports fan, but I am doing it in enemy territory because where I live, it's a lot of New York fans, it's Boston fans, it's people from all over. So that's been an interesting part of my fandom experience.
Very cool. Well, hey, Jeff, we mentioned the ballot. It's full. You have to, you can't pick up 15 votes, but he plays 15 votes. How do you guys come up with that list? Because it was very difficult to whittle that thing down to 15.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to understand is the Philly Sports Hall of Fame is really there to represent a lot of different sort of elements of greatness. First off, it can be for athletes who either played in Philly or those who were born in the area and didn't necessarily play there. And then ideally, it's athletes who did both from the area and played. It's a pretty exclusive club, and every year there are new nominees that we consider. And we really look for a crosswalk of sports, both individual, team sports, men, women, college, pros. And then I know we're going to talk a little bit about sort of the legacy as well. So this year, there's some really exciting nominees, some of the ones that jump to the top for me. And we talked about the fact that I'm a hockey guy. So first and foremost for me is Johnny Gaudreau. Beyond the fact that from an athletic standpoint, I mean, he is hands down the best hockey player to ever come out of the Philadelphia area. And it's really not even close. And then you think on a very different level about someone like Jimmy Lynam, for example, who, of course, was a player on St. Joe's, then he was a coach at St. Joe's, then he was a coach in the NBA, including the Sixers, then he was a GM. And then a lot of people know him more as a media figure. And then, of course, his daughter, Dee. And then someone like Carly Lloyd, who, of course, was I'm looking at some of these comments here. I've seen all the Philly sports championships. That's great. Someone like Carly Lloyd, who is from the area and is considered easily top 5 to 10 soccer player of all time, 2-time gold medal winning Olympian. And not just that, but scoring the gold medal winning goal. So she's got quite a reputation as well. And then there are several other nominees as well.
You know, I was looking at the Hall's website the other day, and I didn't know this, but apparently the Hall started in the early 2000s after Frank Fitzpatrick, the great Philadelphia Inquirer columnist, mentioned something about the fact that Philly doesn't have a sports Hall of Fame. Why the heck not? And so, you know, the people at the Hall now said, hey, he's right. And they got on it. So 2003, 2004, they got it all together. They had the first induction ceremony in February of 2004. And man, what an impressive list of, you know, first inductees: Chuck Bednarik, Robin Roberts, Steve Van Buren, Joe Frazier, Harry Callis, Sonny Hill. The list goes on and on. The late Paul Aras and Wilt Chamberlain, Connie Mack, Richie Ashburn, Jimmy Fox, Bert Bell, and Bill Tilden. So a very impressive list. Now, a lot of guys impressively have gone in over the last 21, 22 years. But as you said, this year's list of nominees is also quite impressive. I'm going to put that list up right now, and we're going to talk about some of these guys. So no, those are the heritage ones. These are the newer ones right here. So you mentioned a couple of them already in Johnny Gaudreau. You mentioned Carly Lloyd. Who else stands out on that list to you, Jeff?
Yeah, the big one for me is LaShawn or Shady McCoy. I mean, obviously a very dynamic player with the Eagles and their all-time leading rusher. And the thing that jumps out to me with him is the one specific game, the snow game. I'm forgetting what year it was, but when he was dashing through the snow, I think it was against the Lions. And you can see the Eagles are well represented here with Trey Thomas, with John Runyon, and Hugh Douglas. So we've got a lot of those early 2000 players. But then again, you've got such a diversity from the sports perspective. You've got swimming represented, you've got lacrosse, you've got rowing, which again goes back to the fact that it's a nice combination of both individual sports as well as team sports, pro, college, and really everything in between, be those players who played here and or those who were born in the tri-state area.
Well, Jeff, when I went through that list, first thing I did is I sat down and just did the easy picks. We've talked about some of those, but when you have guys like Hugh Douglas, John Runyon, Trey Thomas, you know, Art Still, all great NFL players, and they're easy, right? They look like they're easy. But then when you start reading about, can you put that back up again, Chet, just a second? When you start reading the bios, whoops.
Oh, wrong one.
Start reading the bios on like Kate Pearson and Mandy O'Leary and Karen Borby and these female athletes that are all local people that have just done amazing things. I had to go back and start weeding out some of the easy picks and start putting some of these people in here that just have tremendous resumes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, it goes back to the diversity, and that's something we strive for every year is a cross representation of sports, men, women, team, individual. And we've got squash here. We've got a lot of different sports represented here. So I agree with you. They're all very impressive in their own rights and in what they accomplished in their careers.
Now, once again, at the top of the show, Bill disclosed the fact that in a moment of weakness a few years ago, President Ken Avalon from the Hall invited Bill and me to be voting members. Not sure why, but we were honored to do so. We do take our duties very seriously. So I'm going to tell you that I voted for 10 names from that newer nominees list, plus 5 names from the heritage list. And for me, well, it was 3 guys that we already discussed. 2 guys, 1 gal. 3 absolute yes votes for me among the newer nominees were South Jersey soccer legend and Women's World Cup hero Carly Lloyd, Eagles all-time rusher LaShawn Shady McCoy, and South Jersey hockey star, gone way too soon, Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, they've all got to be locks this year, don't you think, Jeff?
I would think so, for sure. Yeah, we typically induct 15 to 18 athletes every year. So I would agree with you. Those are the 3 that jumped out to me as well. And again, there's plenty of room for everyone else. And you also mentioned we have an annual event where we bring all these nominees together. It's typically in early November at Live Casino. That's where you and I got to meet for the first time. That was my first time ever going to the event. So that was a lot of fun. And it was particularly exciting because it was sort of a Flyer-centric night. I don't know if you remember, but there were 2 tables of former Flyers because several former Orange and Black were nominated or actually put into the Hall of Fame. So that was particularly exciting for me.
Well, I also voted for those 3, and I voted for Jimmy Lynam, who you also mentioned, Jeff, along the way. Now, Chet, do you also have the list of the legacy candidates?
Yeah, and let me just say, I really like the fact that the Hall does honor a handful of legacy candidates every year, men and women who played or coached, I mean, as far back as the early or mid-1900s. I mean, that is pretty cool, I would think, for their surviving relatives all these years later to find out that their, grandfather or grandmother is going into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if you look at this list, the same thing, I'll say, when you look at this list, obviously we didn't see many of these or maybe any of them, but if you look at their resumes, there's gold medals spread out throughout this whole entire list, along with a bunch of other tremendous accomplishments.
Yeah, I agree. When I was looking at some of these and just doing some homework, one of the ones that jumped off the page to me was the last one there, Sherry McGee. That's a player from the early 1900s.
Yep.
Certainly not a household name today, to your points, yet someone who was one of the best players in Major League Baseball over 100 years ago. So like you said, it's quite a legacy for the families of these athletes who were honored so far after they were actually performing on the field. So yeah, that's a very cool part of it as well, to have that connectivity to many generations before us.
Sherry McGee was actually the only name from that legacy list that I did recognize, because I've heard him mentioned on, I guess, Phillies broadcast by Richie Ashburn or somebody way back in the day.
Sure.
Sherry McGee was a Phillies outfielder from 1904 to 1914, a Phillies Wall of Famer, and he hit over 300 5 different seasons, so quite a resume. One other name that I did definitely vote for from the heritage list, Battling Levinsky, because with a name like Battling Levinsky and you're a boxer, you got to get my vote.
How do you not go in with that name? I agree. I totally agree.
Hey, Jeff, you come up with this list of, I don't even know how many names are on here. How do you get nominated, or how do you come up with the committee come up with this group to start to whittle down?
So that's a very exclusive type of process that if I told you, I don't know if I'd be allowed to, that if I told you, I'd have to kill you. No, it is a pretty involved process, and there's essentially a subset of us that work on that committee. And every year there's the opportunity to nominate new athletes. People make recommendations. We take input from the public on maybe athletes that haven't been on the list before that should have been. So it's really a pretty comprehensive process where we're taking guidance from a lot of people to make sure that no stone goes unturned when it comes to making sure that all the people who should be in there at least get the chance to get in there.
Well, Jeff, when are the official inductees for this year going to be announced? When will that happen? Do you know?
So the process will unfold over the next couple of weeks, and then I believe it's actually in a couple months where we will actually announce who the honorees will be, and that's when the planning process begins for the event, which again is always the first week. It's the first Thursday of November, at the Live Casino down in South Philly. So it rolls out over a couple months, and then the people who are going to be inducted have several months to hopefully make plans to be there in person to join us for this special occasion.
It's usually the first Thursday in November. Last year, that happened to be my birthday, November 6th. This year, it'll be November 5th. My birthday will be on Friday if you want to, buy me something.
I will see you there, and we'll have to celebrate a little bit early.
There you go.
Hey, Jeff, for anybody that's watching or anybody in the Philadelphia area that would want to come to the event, it's open to the public, right? You got to buy a ticket, but anybody can come to this, right?
Yeah, it is. And I would highly recommend it. I mean, it was such a cool experience for me last year. And again, I'm a volunteer there. I wish I had known about it years ago because I would have loved to have gone. The last couple of years, Joe DeCamera's been the MC, and he does an amazing job. I think before that, Glenn Macnow used to do it. So you've got some sort of Philly sports and media royalty leading the event. And you're just surrounded by athletes from every sport. And a lot of times, again, when I think of last year, I mean, there were 2 or 3 Flyers who got in. And along with that, so there were so many of their teammates that came to support them. So you had someone, I think it was Doug Crossman, the defenseman from those 80s teams who got in. And because he was there, you had people like Mark Howe, you had Brian Propp, you had all these teammates of his.
Paul Holmgren was inducted.
Paul Holmgren was another inductee. Yep. So that's really cool too. And you just kind of get to go rub elbows with Philly sports royalty, and you're in the same ballroom, and they've got all sorts of really cool event. It's incredibly well done. A lot of volunteers come together to make it happen, and I would definitely recommend it for any Philly sports fan. It's a pretty special night.
Hey, Jeff, we're going to wrap up in a minute, but Bill and I are going to give our Phillies predictions before the show ends. Right. What are your thoughts about this year's Phillies? How many wins, and will they win the division?
I'm going to say 92 wins. I think they're going to win the division, and I'm an optimist by nature. So people are kind of down on them because from a playoff perspective, things have been going in the wrong direction, yet they gave the Dodgers a hell of a fight. And the reality is they've won more games each of the last 4 years. I am predicting some exciting things for the Phillies this year. I think the trend in the playoffs is going to go the other way in a very positive direction.
I hope so.
There you go. Well, Jeff, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us. Fantastic. Hopefully we can do it again. And I don't know what took us so long the first time.
I would love to. Great to be with you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Jeff,
thanks.
You can hang out and watch the rest of the show if you'd like. Otherwise,
Good.
go about your night. So
All
great
right.
having you. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right,
fun.
Jed. Phillies opening day means a tailgate with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia. Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Well, you got that right, Bill. And let me see if I can find my copy for that. Oh, yeah, there it is. Cavs Philly Tailgates. You know these guys, cooking up a terrific catering business for some 35 years now. Cav, a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgates, Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest, and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events, parties, you name it. But Cav is best known for those tailgates before Philly sporting events. And there won't be any Eagles ones till September, of course, but there will be one before the Phillies home opener in the afternoon Thursday, and another before a Phillies Guardians game in May, and then one before the Morgan Wallen concert. That is August 1st. Get details on those and other events at Cavs' website. That would be phillytailgates.com. And if you have any questions, you can email them, cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. All right, Bill, what do we got next?
Well, hey, Chet, speaking of that, I should know this answer, but I don't. Are you going to the game tomorrow? You always
yes.
go to opening day.
I will be there. I will be tailgating by 1 p.m., going inside probably about 3:15, because I like to see when they unfurl the big flag. I get that picture every year, and looking forward to it. Can't wait.
All right. It's going to be fun. We're going to get to that here in just a minute. We still got to make those picks. You showed those other ones. Hey, great guests tonight of Scott Franzke and Jeff Kirsch. Who's coming to Philly Pressbox Radio next week, Jed?
Well, next week, Bill, we have 2 great guest once again. We will talk a lot more Phillies with a guy who has covered them for decades. He is a baseball Hall of Famer and just a brilliant guy. I'm talking about Paul Hagen. Paul Hagen making a return visit to our show. I don't know, that's 8 or 9 or 10 for Paul. We love having him on here. Plus, with Glenn Macnow's What's Brewing having its season 12 premiere this weekend, we are going to talk beer and whiskey once again with this guy, Glenn's co-host from that great show, Lou Bryson. Had him on here last fall, and he was terrific. So why not a return visit from Lou Bryson joining us along with Paul Hagen? So that'll be fun.
Fantastic. Hey, Chet, the Flyers, they listened to us about that California road trip. They went out there, still no room to lose. They win all three. Then they come home last night, played a terrific first period, fell behind in the first couple minutes of the second period, could not get the win, losing 3-2 to a tough Columbus team. They're still in the hunt. It's a long shot, just 12 to go.
Yeah, that West Coast win streak was fantastic, gave everybody, a little bit of hope at least, but they really needed to win that Tuesday night home game against the Blue Jackets, couldn't get it done, so they are still now 5 points out of the final wild card spot. As you said, 12 games left, and one of the teams ahead of them, the Senators, has been playing really, really well of late. The Sens have won 8 of their last 10 games. Not going to be easy. The Flyers host a not very good Blackhawks team Thursday night and then visit Detroit on Saturday. And that is a big one because the Red Wings are 4 points ahead of the Flyers in the East and also trying to sneak into the postseason.
Yeah, and the same with that Columbus game last night. That would have been a huge game to win. And unfortunately, it didn't go the Flyers' way. But I'll tell you what, Chet, I think if you're sitting back and you're Rick Tocchet and Jonesy and Danny Briere, you're saying improvement. You're seeing a lot of improvement from this team, and a lot of improvement from the kids that they're bringing up and put in tough situations. And Dan Vladar is playing pretty good goal for them down the stretch here.
Yeah, that he is. So, that's good to see. And there is hope, but man, you just would love to have seen them snuck into the playoffs this year. I know it's not over, but as I said, it's not going to be easy.
It's going to be tough. That's for sure. We'll be rooting for them, though.
Yeah.
Hey, Chet, I know everybody has just been on the edge of their seats as we've teased throughout the show that our annual Fearless Phillies prediction is coming down. Tonight's the night, with just one Richie Ashburn day away from the opener.
Yeah, exactly. So I did sneak this picture on earlier when we were talking to Jeff. Everybody looking for the Phillies to win somewhere around 90 games. Our buddy Boop checked in. He's looking for 90 and the Phils win the East. Or no, Boop says 95. He is always very optimistic. Phil Stifle, our buddy at Trending in the AM, goes for 90, but the Mets win the East. Big Al, 93. James Seltzer and Jack Fritz from WIP, both 93 wins. How about Bill Colarulo from 97.5? He is at 92. Ricky Bottalico, heard him today. He agrees with Bill, 92 wins. Bill's not sure who's going to win the East, but 92 wins either way. Todd Zalecki, 93 wins. I checked in with Todd. He said the Phils will win the East. And Todd is optimistic about Harper and Stott having great years. Paul Hagen, who we're going to have on the show next week, goes with 90. Tim Kelly, 90 wins, but the Mets win the East. That's what Paul said as well. So, we shall see. Matt Watson, 92 wins, and the Phils win the East. Going to be interesting, Bill. So you want to go first? What say you?
Well, I'm going to go with – I'm going to surprise you on this, I think. They're going to win 94 games. They're going to win 94 games. They're going to win the East, and they're going to do it handily. The Mutts are still the Mutts. Now, with that said, I got a couple key players that we got to think about here. One is Jose Alvarado. He's got to be not good. He's got to be really good, and he's got to be consistent. Tanner Banks is another one I've got circled, Chet. He's been really good. He needs to still be really good. And Aaron Nola. I mean, they have to get a good year from Nola, especially with Zach Wheeler out to start the season. Nola needs to be really good. And if Wheeler can't come back, my fourth guy, Taijuan Walker, he pitched great in the spring. He pitched great in the tournament. He needs to he needs to be able to step up if they need him. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're counting on a lot of guys, and of course, you got to have good health. That was another factor. And the Braves haven't had that. The Braves have a rash of injuries every year, and that's the case again this year. I'm a little worried about the Mets. We know the Mets typically do Met things and fade off, but
they're still the Mets.
Now, this is from MLB.com Mets beat writer Anthony DiComo. This is what he said in his piece. As the Phillies slowly age out of relevance and the Braves deal with a myriad of pitching injuries, the Mets will lock up the division by mid-September. Ooh.
How many times we heard that?
Yeah, I know. All right. My prediction, Bill, 90 wins for the Phillies, but don't hate me. I think the Mets are going to win 92 and win the division. The good news, Phillies will be a wild card team. And, from then on, who knows? So there's all the predictions, including yours and mine. You're at 94. I'm at 90 and second place for the Phillies.
Who are those cats at the bottom there? Matt Snyder and Fangraphs. Who are those cats?
Yeah, Matt Snyder works for CBS. I just saw a piece from him the other day. He went under 89.5, which is the Vegas over-under for the Phillies. So he just doesn't think they're going to get the over. Fangraphs is one of these, analysis things, and they have the Phillies at 87 wins and the Mets and Braves both at 88. So hope that's not right.
I'm usually not I try to be more the realist than the super excited guy. But I think this team, we lose sight, and I think Scott Franzke said this a little bit, about the playoffs. They won 96 games last year. And, we ran it back, but we've added some pieces that hopefully make them better. So from 96 to 90 to 88, I don't see that happening. I think they're going to be in that 94, 93. And I don't know. The Mets spent a lot of money, but are the Mets all that much better than the Phillies? Did they get better players than the Phillies for spending all that money?
Freddie Peralta is a real good pitcher. So he's a Cy Young candidate. I think he was in the top 5 last year in the running. He's a good pitcher. He's going to be a big plus for them. I think Juan Soto is going to have a real good year. Last year he was okay. I think he's going to have a great year this year. Bo Bichette.
He's still Juan Soto.
Yeah, I hope Bo Bichette falls flat on his face and that deal, comes back to haunt them. But we'll see. You know what else? Bryce Harper said something interesting the other day. He's going to have better at-bats this year, and he has a goal of 140 to 150 walks. That ain't going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. But I hope he does have better at-bats because he swung at the first pitch, I think 53% of his at-bats last year, and a portion of those were not even in the strike zone. So, you got to work the pitchers a little more, and you got to be a little bit more selective. So I hope Bryce is right about, having better at-bats. So we shall see.
Well, I'm going to say this about that. And then the first time we get a chance to be live with one of these guys, I would ask Scott this today if I had been there. Bryce Harper plays, when he's at the plate, he plays angry. He swings angry.
Violent swings, yes.
Right. And if he is going to be able to discipline himself to walk 100, 120, 100, probably 140 is not possible, but if he can walk 100 or 120 times and be more disciplined at the plate, does it help him stay healthy?
That would be good.
Right?
Every year he seems to have a little bit of an injury problem.
Well, he gets tweaks, he gets muscle issues and, things like that.
The wrist, the back, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he plays the game violently and he plays all out. He plays all out when he's in the field, and he plays, he swings like he's hitting the ball to the moon every time he gets a whack at it.
Bill, we're going to be talking lots of Phillies baseball for the next 5 or 6 months. So that's a good thing. We like talking baseball, and it's going to be a fun spring and summer, hopefully, in South Philadelphia.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. That's for sure. They can't get it going soon enough, and soon enough is tomorrow.
And, Joe Howe is not a Bohm fan, obviously, but I think Alec Bohm's going to have a real good year. Remember, he is in a contract year, so he's going to be extra motivated. I think Alec Bohm will hit 20-plus home runs and have a real good season for the Phillies, which would be great.
Well, and the only thing we didn't talk about, we'll do this another time because we're running out of time, is there is still the Rob Thompson effect.
Here we go.
Back to Phil's question on trending in the AM. He's not getting fired before June 1st, but can he win a World Series? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, we'll only know that if he actually does win a World Series and sticks around.
Or
for
he
a
gets
few
to
years
the playoffs and doesn't get it done again. There's
the
that.
Phillies, when they went to the World Series in 23 or 22, they only won 87 games. They've increased the win total each of the succeeding 3 years. Now, I don't think they're going to get to 96 this year. You think they're going to be close, but 90 to 92 will get them certainly a wild card spot, if not the division title. And then anything can happen in October, Bill. So let's just hope they're healthy and playing well come October.
I'm with you. What do you think? We wrap this thing up. You got anything else?
Wrap it up. We didn't even talk Eagles one bit this week. They signed Elijah Moore, wide receiver, who happens to be a good friend and former teammate of A.J. Brown. They're also bringing back backup offensive tackle Fred Johnson. That's about all we have on the Eagles front. And good news out of Jason Martinez today, Flyers hockey guy who does some of the pre- and post-game stuff and podcasts about them. Jason Martinez says his cancer now is gone, and it is colorectal cancer. It happens to be colorectal cancer month. So, best wishes for Jason as he goes forward.
Absolutely. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Let's thank tonight's special guests, Scott Franzke and Jeff Kirsch. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Razroom. For Jim Chechesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, April the 1st at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and let's go Phillies.
I hope he had